First one we talk about is our NBC Sunday Night Football, Bills at Dolphins, the final Sunday Night Football regular season game of the year. The winner of this game will clinch the AFC East. How crazy is that? The winner clinches the division.
Yep.
Buffalo can still get a wild card.
Yeah.
But it's also possible.
They might not be in.
They might not be in.
Right.
And some people think at this point they're playing like a top 5 team in the NFL. They might not even make the playoffs. And for the Dolphins, hugely significant because it's either hosting a significant number of games in the playoffs or like going on the road immediately and having to play in
being
maybe
a 6 seed,
cold weather environments.
Yeah, probably have to go to Kansas City the way it looks right now. I mean, if that's what happens, they're most likely going because if they lose, they won't be able to be the 5 seed. Or they might be able to, actually. I'm wrong about that. They might. No, actually, I don't think they will because Cleveland will still win the tiebreaker because of the better conference record. So Cleveland will be the 5 seed. So that means they will be the 6, and then they have to go on the road to Kansas City, and play in the cold and play the team that we saw has answers to stop that high-octane offense already this year when they played over in Germany.
So they played week 4. The Bills destroyed them 48-20 in that one. That was one of those where like, oh, the Bills are actually a pretty good team. Slowed down that Miami offense. You looked, though, specifically, you looked at the Dolphins against what they did against the Ravens, too. You did a deep dive into this.
I watched what we saw this weekend, right? Who's watched Buffalo more than me? I mean, right? I mean, do you not ask me to watch Buffalo every week, pretty much, I feel like? I mean,
we think you like it. So,
I do like it. I do. So, So, I mean, I did not go back to the week 4 matchup, but I have a great feel for Buffalo, their defense, and what they do and how they game plan.
So let's go with the Dolphins defense first here because they did score the Bills 48 points on the Dolphins defense, and that was before some of their key injuries. We don't know exactly how many people will be available for them. Howard, Xavier Howard, will he be back? I don't know. Jalen Waddle, will he be back?
Good. I know. They need him, right?
Tyreek Hill, will he be 100%?
Yeah.
He has been playing. But the Dolphins D, was that Ravens game an anomaly for them, or is it a sign of real problems to come here? Because I think we have a graphic of how good the Dolphins defense has been. Weeks 8 through 16, it was like 254 yards a game. So up until last week, they were one of the best defensive units in the league. Last week, it was almost 500 yards allowed. Ravens just torched them. So, with your deep dive, what have you seen from the Dolphins, and are they going to have trouble stopping teams from here on out?
Game got out of hand, right? Baltimore made some incredible plays, right, to where, again, Baltimore controlled the game, but they made some incredible plays where you went, ooh, if that goes a different way, the 4th and 7 at the middle of the field, right, where Isaiah likely catches it with one hand and runs. Like, if they don't get that, the game's going to be a little different. It's not, I mean, now like, the Ravens are going to have the ball at midfield before the half. It's 21-13, right? So there were some moments in the game where, Baltimore won, and credit to them. And, of course, I'm not taking any credit away from them, but, like, in the NFL, 56-19, it happens because of like 3 or 4 plays, right? It's not like maybe sometimes as physical dominance what you think. Either way, they still were physically dominant. They were. I think Miami defense is very good. I like it. You know that. It's well coached. Concerned about the pass rush issues now, right? Now you're down to like Van Ginkel as being the only guy that you feel like can really get pressure off the edge. He's a very good player. But at the same time, defense is good. How good? I've been up in the air about it. I've kind of talked highly about it, right? I think the thing you could question is just like, did they play any great offenses here during that stretch of really good defense that we talked about? The Cowboys being the best one of the group, and the Cowboys being a team that's a little one-dimensional and don't run the ball all that well, so they could go, hey, let's play pass defense. But either way, they had problems in that game on pass defense, right? The thing that they really got killed in this football game, they were worried about the Ravens' run game, right? And all the answers they have, the QB runs, all of that stuff. And they played more man than they have in most games. And I think that was the reason why, because they were worried about the Ravens' run game. They wanted to get one more guy in there to stop the run, or one more guy to keep eyes on Lamar Jackson if they drop back to pass to kind of spy him and not let him run crazy, right? They messed up coverages throughout the football game, right? Whether it was Zay Flowers uncovered down the sidelines, I don't know if that is, the linebacker's fault or if that was Eli Apple's fault. I think it was Eli Apple's fault. I think it was just regular 3 buzz, and he should have stayed in his 3rd. But either way, that was a mess up. There was a touchdown. There was, a touchdown, what was it, to make it, I want to say the next touchdown pass to start the 3rd quarter, man-to-man coverage. They kind of messed up how they played the bunch set. We saw the wheel routes early on in the football game, right? With the running back. One got called for offensive pass interference. The next one was a touchdown. They didn't play that right because they were playing man coverage there. We saw Xavier Howard get beat on a slant and go to start the game in man coverage. They didn't make the plays mano-a-mano. OBJ, man-to-man down the sideline, makes the play over the guy, gets the feet down, right? There was a ton of that where it's just like, the intensity, the big play moments, whatever, it was all on the Ravens side, definitely. So the thing you come away with, and sometimes it's hard to see, and I'm faulting myself here too, because yesterday I had one of those days where I watched them on defense, I watched the Ravens on defense, and then I went down the line and watched some other teams on defense too, and you come away and it was one of those where I went, Miami's defense definitely doesn't move like some of these defense. I'm watching the Ravens defense. Oh, I'm watching the 49ers defense right now. They don't move like this. As good as I think they are, it was a little reminder to watch them next to these other teams to go, yeah, they're not on their level yet. They're good. They're on the right path. I still think they're learning and trying to figure out some of Vic Fangio's rules, and that's why they're messing up some of these passing off of receivers. It was a thing consistently throughout the day. Literally the first play of the game, Jalen Ramsey's yelling at Javon Holland, and they're having an argument on who should have taken who and passing him off. So they had a problem with that. But their physicality and the way they fly around the field is not the same as Ravens, Niners, Cleveland Browns, right? Some of those defenses where I look at that and just go, oh my gosh, they're flying around and killing people.
Yeah.
I think that was another thing that kind of maybe hit me in the face as I was watching that football game.
So we mentioned that we asked the homies who the people of the game will be, who the most important players or coaches.
I got an answer to that,
The boy
too.
B says, easy answer for him. He goes, Joe Brady. We've seen the Bills' offense look a little different under him, but he's got to come up with a game plan, specific plays to expose this Dolphins defense, who is missing several key contributors. You mentioned man-to-man and
you see
the
that
Miami
in the
Dolphins.
notes, right?
Yes. Are they going to be able to do that against the Buffalo Bills? Is Joe Brady going to have to scheme up some stuff in the passing game to get guys open?
Yeah. So that's where, they struggled in man-to-man in this game, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't like I was like, oh, mano-a-mano, they can't cover these guys. Uh-oh, right? No, I mean, we know they posed problems with Baltimore, and they got speed, but I wasn't just like, oh, my gosh, they have no chance here, right? No, Miami's got some good cover guys. We know that, especially if Xavier Howard's healthy. That's the thing I came away with. One, Buffalo's offense is not as creative as Baltimore's. Two, they can't run the ball like Baltimore can, traditional-wise, right? Now, they're getting better, and I'll get into that in a second. And then three, of course you don't think – I don't think they have the weapons that Baltimore has at wide receiver. I mean, Baltimore's got three receivers with multiple rockets up their ass, And Buffalo, I'd go, I don't know if anybody's got more – they got Stephon Diggs, and even his rockets aren't, multiple. It's just like, hey, he runs good, but it's not like, again, what I tell everybody when they go, oh, what about Stephon Diggs? I go, when's the last time you saw Stephon Diggs just run by somebody for an 80-yard bomb? When's the last time you saw him catch a slant and then go, zoom? Oh, my gosh, there goes Stephon Diggs for 70 yards. It never, in years. So that's where people got to back off that. My point being, with all that said, Miami's going to be able to cover Buffalo. They will. And that will be something to watch for. Can Buffalo separate? And as you know, and we'll hit on it in a second, Buffalo couldn't separate from New England at all last week. Now, New England's awesome on defense, and they do a lot of stuff, but they couldn't separate from them at all.
I thought this was good in your notes, too, transitioning to the Bills' offense, is that they're almost in the same world as the Chiefs right now. In some respects.
Right.
You think, you've said this about the Chiefs, they need to embrace the ugly. It's not just that high-flying Patrick Mahomes, throw it all around the field.
Right.
Like Josh Allen's one of the best quarterbacks in the game right now, of all time, most talented. But you feel like, does this Bills offense, they also need to embrace the ugly?
I do. I think so. They're another one where I go, stick with your shotgun, pulling guards, pulling tackles, fake the read option, give it to the running back. He follows the guard, comes from another way. It looks like he's going to go out the back door, but then he comes back and follows the pulling tackle. Oh, Josh Allen keeps it off of it. Oh, Josh Allen play action, and we still pull the tackle. Boom. That, to me, is when they're at their best right now, right? When they get into some of the moments they did the other day where it was like, oh, no, we can't do what we want to do. Oh, we're having a little problem today. And all of a sudden it's like, let's go default mode. default mode, like on the Xbox controller. Let's go to it. Just shotgun Josh Allen, let him pull off magic. They're not good enough to do that. They don't have the weapons outside. Even when he pulls off magic, you're like, well, still nobody's separating. He's been holding the ball for 9 seconds. Still nobody's open, right? So to me, that was when they are at their best, is when they almost have like a Ravens, last year's Eagles type of attack, and they have some of those plays with it that I go, that's what you should ride home here. You do that. Play that style. Allen will make a few plays, and it's going to add to some people being open downfield, and you're going to start to get coverages where Josh Allen's going to go, oh my gosh, nobody's played this coverage against me since my rookie year. And here they are on a 3rd and 5 or, a 2nd and 6, and I'm getting looks that I've seen other quarterbacks get the last few years that I've been jealous of, right? But they can't quite stay patient enough there and bang it home to where they can quite get that. And I think if they want to make it through the AFC playoffs, they got to do that. They got to embrace the ugly. The D's playing good.
Mark Cooper says Josh Allen cannot afford any mistakes, even with their more balanced offense right now. I would say no quarterback, really, at this time of year and against this kind of competition can afford many mistakes.
No.
Not Bucky Cox. Says his most important people, Mike McDaniel and Sean McDermott.
Okay.
Seems like the Dolphins' offense is a little more elementary with the recent injuries.
Yeah.
Has Sean figured out a defense to drop his players into the right zones at the right times, or has McDaniel found a new angle of attack?
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm more along the lines of that. Okay. Like, I'm partaking in this exercise too, and I think if you ask me, like, when we kind of wrote down the rundown, like most important people for this matchup, right? I went with Dolphins stuff here. I went with the Dolphins O-line or McDaniel's patience in the run game. Now, I don't mean to be that guy, but why I say that is this. Well, one, they do have a good rushing attack. And a rushing attack that even last week's stats will tell you, they don't run the ball enough. When all your running backs are averaging 7 yards per carry, you should throw them the ball more, right? Like if they were gashing with somebody with Tyreek all game long, right? What do they keep doing? They keep feeding Tyreek. But for some reason with the run game, they can't keep feeding that. And I don't understand it. And that will definitely help some of their problems right now, right? Where, we saw some early success of them running the ball. And I think the game became a little bit more of like, whoa, Baltimore scoring on us. And they kind of lost track of running the football. We're like, oh, we got to score points, so we got to throw the ball every play. And I want to be like, no, when you run the ball, I just saw Achane run down the sideline for 50 yards. You haven't thrown a ball that far yet, but yet the run wasn't good enough? Oh, here's another run for 20. You still haven't thrown a ball that far yet, but that's not good enough? Why? So that's where I said they got to be patient. And the Dolphins O-line is not a great pass-protecting O-line. They're not. And they will get steamrolled or collapsed like Tua did in some situations last week against this group if they go too pass happy, let alone where they're letting people off the hook. And where I'm saying this, when I go into the Eagles loss, the Titans loss that we broke down a few weeks ago, right? Last week against the Ravens, the Bills the first time. It's always the same thing. Teams play defense and they go, we're just going to stop the pass. We don't think you'll be patient enough for the run. We're worried about stopping all these creative things you do in the pass game, right? And we think our front will be enough just to handle the run. And I don't think Miami's doing their due justice in calling people out when they do that, right? That's my thing, right? When we broke down the Titans game a few weeks ago, I want to go, they're playing Tampa 2 and cheating this and doing this the whole game. Run the ball. Throw a 5-yard out route. Do this. I know we're all fixated on all these cool things that we drew up all week, but sometimes the game's simple and just make it simple. And the answers kind of reveal itself for you, and I feel like they lose their way on that at times.
And I don't know what's easier to do as an offensive line that has had a lot of movement and injuries. I was looking at the numbers and the different starting offensive lines that the Miami Dolphins have had. They've had 10 different combinations of starting offensive line.
Right.
The Buffalo Bills, just the same five. All year. One of 3 teams to just have the same 5. And so that's a benefit. And who knows? And maybe there are things that Mike McDaniel thinks he can't do with some of the combinations of the offensive line that he has out there.
I mean, they don't have to be like, run the ball every play. But they should not go through a drive or 6 to 7 plays without running the football. To me, that's where they fall into trouble. To me, that is where these defenses call their bluff, like I'm saying, and they're playing so hard to stop the other stuff because, of course, it's dangerous, but they also don't believe Miami will hang in there with the run either. And what they're doing is they're allowing people to, play the areas like we talk about right now. Again, you take away, like you saw last week, all of a sudden they can't throw screens outside to the receivers. And then after the first 2 drives, they couldn't throw down the middle. And all of a sudden it's like, well, what else is there? What else? Tell me. They don't throw the ball outside the numbers. They throw an occasional go route. Everything is right here and here and here and here. And then the screen on the outside. Defenses have figured it out. They play defenses to kind of defend those areas. Stop the screens. Stop the throws in the middle of the field. Okay? They don't really throw deep outs or comebacks or anything like that. So let's just do that. So they're not going to start throwing out routes and deep comebacks. So the thing I would say is run the ball to then open up some of the things that they'll give you, the screens on the outside and the pop slants and all the things I talk about.
That was one of the things in Week 4, too. The Bills' defense did a pretty good job of controlling the middle of the field, and I think it was Tyreek. I saw the number somewhere. Tyreek and Waddle had like 104 receiving yards, the fewest in a game where they've both played together, and so they did control that. The Bills did in Week 4.
It's usually what you see from everybody. It is. I mean, again, I'll go back to the Tennessee game, same type of thing. This game was the same thing. Early on, they hit it. But once Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen saw it a few times, see you later. Guess what happened? Oh, you went to the well too many times. Oh, Roquan Smith, interception, going down the sideline. The third interception, I think it was the third one, or did he just throw to 2? The second interception, guess where it was? Down the middle. There was 7 guys there. He tried to loft it over 3 guys and drop it underneath another 3 guys, and he threw it over his head, and the safety intercepted it, right? So it's too difficult, but they were playing for it. And that, to me, is like, they're not going to totally change on offense, but what they can change is just, again, when you rush the ball for 154 yards and you're averaging over 7 yards per carry with your running backs, you didn't run the ball enough. That's what that tells you. That, to me, is where you drop the ball in the game, and that, to me, is where they could drop the ball in the game if they don't stay with it in this one.
This is not the picks pod. You're not making your pick.
No, this one's. I'm not sure where I'm going here yet.
Well, what's your feeling right now? What's your lean?
My feeling is Buffalo. My feeling is Buffalo because I think Buffalo is a more tougher physical football team who, unlike most teams that play Miami, they've seen this offense, they know it, so they know kind of how to control it, gauge it, keep it under wraps to a degree, right? I think it was going to be a close football game regardless, though. I think it'll be more of a defensive type of football game than an offensive explosion. I think it's going to be more along the lines of like almost Dolphins-Cowboys a few weeks ago, where it'll be come down to a late field goal, something like that, 23-20, 24-21, 20-17, right in that range. But that's what I would expect. It's one, Buffalo's offense doesn't have enough, so Miami will be okay there. And then the other side of the story will be, hey, Buffalo's defense knows how to defend this offense. And this offense right now, like I said, you toss, crack, screen, slant over the middle. You're stopping like 80% of their offense. And Buffalo knows how to do that.
30 million people will watch on Sunday Night Football. We'll do the halftime show. We'll give our analysis on that one.
You know what I want to say? One more thing about the Ravens.
I was going to give you a chance for a Columbo on this one.
One more thing, just to say about the Ravens.
Oh, wait, hold on. But we won't talk about the Ravens.
Well, I mean, they're playing the Steelers. I mean, the Ravens aren't going to be playing anybody. I don't know if there's a deep.
Oh, we are talking about the Ravens coming up.
Yeah, way to be a host. Thanks for
save it for the Ravens?
All right. Well, just one thing off of that game.
Okay.
Doesn't matter because like Lamar's like not going to play a full game here, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And we're going to see guys in and out. The way the Lamar's throwing the ball, the aggressiveness of the offense, the talent at wide receiver, right? The fact that they can run the ball, and you have to respect that a little bit. I mean, they're hard to match up against, right? They're hard. So Miami, they're worried about the run game and being bludgeoned, but they want to play man-to-man across the board because, hey, we want somebody on Lamar, and we want to let them have windows and all that. But, like, there he is one-on-one with, like I said, multiple guys with rockets up their ass, and he's got all day. He's patting the ball and doing all that. Like, and the way he's throwing and seeing the field, I mean, it's going to take a special defense to slow down the Ravens the way they're playing right now.
All right, as a little bonus nugget. We'll get to that. So that is Bills Dolphins. Watch it on NBC.
Yo, what up, homies? Thanks for watching. Remember, subscribe to Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Right now, we got Sunday pod, right? So you can have it Monday morning. We recap all the action. Wednesday, it's the What the Happened podcast. We're going to get deep in the weeds on the key matchups of the week. And then Thursday, I'm picking games with that jerk Florio. So you know where to find us, homies. Keep watching. Peace out. We'll see you.